Hey there, multi-prep teachers. You know how professional development never seems to quite get to what we need? It's like, great idea, but how do I make this work when I have 3+ preps to juggle? That's exactly why I created the Simplify Your Preps Collective. It's a free Facebook group built just for teachers like you, where we share tips, resources, and real talk about making multi-prep teaching less overwhelming and more doable. Sound like your kind of space? Head to kristenmasick.com/collective and join us today. Let's simplify together. In the next 3 weeks, we are going to be going over the best of 2023. So the top 3 listened to, downloaded episodes from 2023, we are going to re-air. And in today's episode, we are going to be looking at episode 164, Finding Balance as a Secondary Teacher, Tips and Strategies for Overcoming the Challenges of Multiple Preps. That was originally aired on August 17th, 2023. And as a recap, in this episode, we explore the importance of teacher self-care and well-being, and we provide you with some practical tips and strategies to help you overcome those challenges of managing multiple preps. So whether you are a new teacher or a seasoned teacher, these insights will help you find balance and prioritize your health and happiness, and hopefully help you recharge this holiday break. This week's Ask Me Anything question wasn't actually directly asked to me. It was in a teacher Facebook group, and a teacher named Amy said, "Any advice on teaching multiple preps and how to prepare and not get overwhelmed?" She went on to say that she's teaching marketing principles, marketing applications, cross-media marketing, and work simulation. And the reason that I decided to talk about this today was that there were 32 responses at the time when I saw this post, and quite frankly, no one gave her advice. More than not, they said, "Welcome to the team, join the team. That's what you get for teaching business classes. You are going to be overwhelmed for your entire life." Pretty much, majority of the things that were written there were not helpful whatsoever. It was like a badge of honor to be a multiple prep teacher, but no one was really willing to help her. Today, we're going to be talking about some actual tips and strategies to help out Amy. And if you are in the same boat as Amy, here are some things that can help you as well. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. All right, Amy, and any of you teachers who are like Amy and you are starting this journey down multiple preppiness, that I'm sure that's a phrase, what you've got to start off with is knowing that while having a multiple prep schedule might be the norm, you don't have to accept it as your life is going to be crazy and you have no control over it. I hated when I was cringing every time I was looking at each of those responses, and people weren't really willing to help. They were just saying, "You're going to be extra busy and good for you." And you've got to get that out of your head, because that doesn't need to be how you look at your teaching schedule. We're going to go over some tips to help it. First off, you can shift that mindset by giving you some actual tips and strategies. I went over most of these in detail in the previous episode 163, where I was talking all about my multiple prep teacher academy, but I also want to give you this 4S system that I have developed so that you can get a basic idea of the steps that you need to take to be successful as a multiple prep teacher. Because It is possible. Now, one thing that I would also love to say is it's two-pronged. There's the survival of the multiple prep teacher, but then there's also the potential of getting out of the extreme multiple prepness. I did go from 9 preps in 1 year. It took me 3 years, but then I got it down to 3 preps, which was a huge change. That is one ideal. You might be going down that road, but today we are going to talk about the other prong of really surviving and dealing with, and quite honestly, thriving as a multiple prep teacher. We're going to be talking about the 4S system. The first S is set in order. Amy and any other teacher who is like Amy, you have got to really get your ducks in a row. And this doesn't mean that you have to have everything planned out, because that in and of itself is super overwhelming. But you do need to know what you are going to be teaching this next year. And the simplest way is with a curriculum map. There are plenty of episodes that I have detailed in here, like episode 145, planning and preparing to teach a new course for the following year, that will give you some detailed ideas of what to do in this set in order stage as far as your curriculum map goes. You do need to have an idea for each one of your classes where you're going to go, and once again, you're kind of getting that big view. Another episode that might be helpful is episode number 1, which is an oldie but a goodie. But it's specifically about that time that I used Marie Kondo to determine my essential standards. Those are both things that come within set in order. You need to have an idea, whether it is broad or more specific, but you need to have an idea of what you've got going on and what you're going to be teaching this year. And both of those work together because you've got that curriculum map, but then also determining your essential standards so that you know that you do not need to cover, because honestly, that's all you will be doing is you'll be covering some of your standards. You've got to figure out a way so that you're not overwhelmed by the sheer amount of standards that could be for each of your classes. The next S is schedule. This is where you're going to start plugging in when you're going to be teaching about everything. And I would say listen to episode 155, which are the 4 mistakes that the multiple prep teachers make when starting this new school year, but it's specifically about planning and how you're planning those multiple classes so that they work for you instead of against you. And the way that we are normally taught how to plan is that we just plug and play and really not think about ourselves as we are making those plans. And in that episode, it talks more about the problem, the mistake that happens, and then the solution. The idea behind it is creating a schedule that works for you, not against you, and really allows you to be the best teacher as possible with those multiple preps. The next is systemize. The third S, we're going to be talking about creating systems. I would recommend episode 157 as it goes over some of the truths about creating systems, because there are a lot of misconceptions that systems can take a ton of your time, which they can to begin with, but then they save you time in the end. That episode goes over some of the strategies that you can use to really simplify what you are doing during the school day. So what can you do? You're going to tap into things that you might already be doing, creating systems on things that are already working for you. And the idea is you need to rinse and repeat what is working, and you need to see if those things will work in multiple class periods. One of the mistakes that we make, and I believe I talked about this in episode 155, was not reusing things for different class periods. What we commonly think is that we have to be original in every single one of our classes, and that takes a ton of time. If we are having to plan very unique protocols and activities for every single one of our our classes, it takes a ton of time. Figuring out, being really strategic about which activities, which protocols, what you are using for one class so that you can really use that as a template and do it in another class will save you a ton of time. Think about if you are doing a protocol in one class. The example that I like to give a lot is a gallery walk. It requires certain materials. It requires those big Post-it note sticker things and markers and ways to take notes, possibly some clipboards so students can walk around the room. You can have that set up and do that in every single one of your class periods, but yet you are switching up the prompts so that each class is doing that protocol at the same time. You are only setting up for it once, and yet you are having different learning experiences for each one of your classes. The final S is sustain. This is really, how are you going to sustain yourself, your well-being, your mental SEL, whatever you want to call it? How are you going to take care of yourself as a multiple prep teacher? And I do go over some tips and some strategies in episode 136, which is Teacher Self-Care, how to sustain your well-being starting during the summer. And we explore different ways to help you stay healthy and happy. And it is meant, when that episode came out, it was pre-summer. It was how to build habits during the summer, but it is not too late to build habits to help sustain you and your well-being. Part of these habits are boundaries. Boundaries will also really help you as you are sustaining yourself, as you are contributing to the self-care and well-being for you as a teacher. Amy and all of my other teacher friends who this probably applies to, who get the same reactions when you are trying to get some empathy. Hopefully these tips will help you survive and thrive as a multiple prep teacher. If you found this episode helpful, it could be for others. Be sure to share this with a friend. You can also give me a rating and review on your favorite podcast listening app, and tune in for next week. Until next time.